Rombout, it's very good indeed to be talking with you. Tell me where you're actually, where am I hearing you and seeing you from?
Yes, hi, very nice meeting you again. Yeah, I'm Dutch, actually from the Netherlands, born and raised over there, in this little village called Naarden, historical city.
Where's that near?
Naarden is about half an hour from Amsterdam.
Ah, right.
Right in the middle of the country.
So south of Amsterdam, is that?
No, it's purely east.
East of Amsterdam, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yes. And are you actually in Amsterdam? Are you there today when I'm speaking to you?
Actually not, I'm in London, but I will travel tomorrow to Amsterdam if everything goes well.
Okay, I see, yes. Yes, so it's not quite so exotic today as it might have been, but no. And I've had quite a bit to do with people from the Netherlands because I worked for Shell for a period of time. And of course, so much of our commerce backwards and forwards in terms of within the company was with Holland, yeah, the Netherlands. And when I was in Norwich, we were also looking to a time when they were hoping to have a ferry which went 3 times in 24 hours from Great Yarmouth on our east coast to, do I say IJmuiden?
IJmuiden, yes, indeed.
IJmuiden, yes, yeah. But it didn't ever happen for some reason. I think because the port was ready just in time for there to be a drop in trade, and it was not going to work. So tell me, so were you at school locally in your village?
Yeah, relatively. I mean, was it not in the village I lived in, but very close, about half an hour on bike, and later on motorbike, whatever. Went to school. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and where your village was, what was the main? How were people mainly occupied? Did they commute somewhere else, or were they involved in agriculture?
No, it's because it's close to Amsterdam. They mainly commute to Amsterdam area and work there. My dad also would commute as well.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I'm always fascinated by names. And your surname, is that named after a place or what?
Well, literally, Eikelenboom means something like oak tree. So I assume my ancestors had a big tree in their garden or something. So that's what it means.
I see, yes. Well, that's not unusual. There are, I mean, in this country, you'll have people called Beach or, I don't know, Ash. I know some called Ash, yes. Yes, so, okay. So then you went on from school to university in Amsterdam itself. That's
correct. Yeah, I mean, I just, although I came from a graphical family, so my father, grandfather, grandfather all had graphical companies, and my dad wanted me to be the 4th generation in our family company. But I said, well, I don't feel like that. I want to go into economics. So we did go to the UK to see where I could be trained as a graphical manager, but instead, because I chose Amsterdam Economics University, yeah, to do something.
Did you enjoy studying economics?
I think so. I mean, I always had this impression, you know, I once want to be in this trading room, buy, sell with telephones and in the heart of the financial system. That's what my boy's dream it was, kind of thing. And that's also what I did. After my economics degree, I went into finance for a couple of years and very shortly found out there was nothing for me. I didn't like it at all.
People are always rude about economists. They always say things like, well, of course, economists think they're scientists, but if they are, they're very inaccurate scientists. What do you say to that?
Well, it's not like true science that there's only one way which is right indeed. It depends on the timing of the economy, the phase it is in, whether maybe Karl Marx was right or Adam Smith was right, or it depends on, they're all a bit right at times, I think.
Yeah, quite. Okay, so you read economics, but then instead of going into graphics straight away, you spent some time in finance. How long did you do in that?
Yeah, about 6 years, I was trained as a private banker, and I worked indeed in the stock market for a couple of years. That's what my dream was, what I just mentioned. And so I was successful in that, but it wasn't at all what I wanted. I wasn't very happy in there, and the people were different. And so yeah, I was looking for creating something, be more creative, something manufacturing again. And yeah, I got in touch with people who asked me to come to the graphical industry. I said, what? Graphical industry? That's where I came from. But yeah, I mean, probably I had something in my blood, so that's why I went.
And when you were working in the finance industry, was that in Amsterdam?
Actually not. It was I think the one and only private bank we have. It's Van Lanschot Bankiers in the Netherlands, which is based in 's-Hertogenbosch in the south, Den Bosch. So I moved to 's-Hertogenbosch in the south, and I worked from there.
Ah, yes, yes. Now I've never known how you said that word, so I'm really grateful to hear you say it. It's right on the coast, isn't it? Near enough.
No, actually not. 's-Hertogenbosch is in the south of the middle south, if you would.
Oh, it's right in the middle, is it? Yes. And
yes.
I say 's-Hertogenbosch.
Yes. Well, that's why we for the English we don't say 's-Hertogenbosch, we just say Den Bosch. It's easy.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then in the end, even though you were being rebellious to your family tradition, it caught up with you.
Yes. Yes. And it made my grandfather very happy, and my dad, of course. But although I didn't return in the family company because I did something else, I did return in the industry. So that made them very happy. And luckily, my grandfather was still alive when I did that move.
And the firm you went to work for, first of all, tell me what was their particular focus in the graphics world?
Well, it was a large firm, Roto Smeets, which is a listed firm as well. And until that time, it was basically the idea that the best technician on the floor, the best printer, becomes the manager. And they were one of the first graphical groups who said, well, wait a minute, we are in a new phase here. We don't need the best printer to be a manager. We need people from outside. We need people who are customer related. We need maybe economics even. So they were hiring a couple of economists, and I was one of them.
I see. Right. Okay. So you came in with a qualification that was quite helpful to them, you mean?
Yes. I mean,
yeah.
Until then, I mean, most of the graphical industry, were all technicians around who had a beautiful press. I thought, okay, I have this press. Who wants to buy it? Or the products from it? And I think we, as relatively outsiders, although I had some back knowledge, of course, with my family, are more thinking about, okay, so what is the market position? How do you treat customers? What is what is your strategy? So it's a bit different setup there.
Now, a friend of mine was part of, well, I think what was at the time one of the most successful European design partnerships. He partnered with an Italian, and they did things like the design stuff for Harrods in London, for can't think of the name of the big perfume company, but one of those, and even those tunnels in Heathrow Airport, where you have lots of images all the way through. They're responsible for that. But that would be design rather than graphics, or would it be a design who'd need a graphics person to join them, or what?
Yeah, well, design is of course one thing. I was more involved, have always been more involved in academic and scientific publishing, not so much design. It's more the content. So it's more like coding, making it, structuring it, and publishing it, printing it actually, making the books, the magazines, and the journals, and then shipping them all over the world. So we're not so much interested in design as such. It's more like the content, the book needs to be good of it, and how it looks is less important in the academic world.
So it's almost sort of running alongside editing, then, is it really? Or yeah.
Yes, back in the days, in the late 90s, we had all kinds of editors on our payroll, a whole group of copy editors and people who were peer reviewing things. A whole bunch of them, I think 26 or so, we had working there, all academics. But that work, particular kind of work, has all moved to Asia. It's now all done in India and in that area of the world. We don't do it anymore at all in this part of the world.
And so your concern would have been with the intellectual content rather than the layout.
Yes, that's correct. And then also now I will avoid making it too difficult, but structuring the data in a way that it can be easily published on the internet, on ebooks, on journals, on books, so it's more like structuring the data and then automatically converting it to an output medium if you want. It could be a book, could be something else as well. Medium, so that's storage, they call it.
That's quite a sort of specialized thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And tell me, you then were a co-founder, I gather, of Euradius. Can you tell us a bit about what Euradius did or does?
It's basically a graphical group. We wanted to we also had a local understanding your challenge. So go to the publishers, our customers, and say, okay, what do you want? What do you expect from us? And get a story there. And we wanted to, as entrepreneurs, want to take some risk, but the company I worked for then was more like, we don't want to make too much risk, so take it easy, Rombout. And we didn't want to take it easy. We want to go global. And that's why we founded Euradius, which is indeed a group of companies which we actually acquired all over Christmas within 1 week. And this consisted basically of graphical companies, usually before owned by publishers. So those publishers were talking to consultants, and consultants would tell those publishers, you have to do what you're good at. So marketing titles and books and rights, don't go into production. So they sold their production facilities to us. And we bought them, and then immediately had, of course, a good relation with the publisher.
Right, I think I get the gist of that. But it's quite a specialized area, I can see.
Yes.
And then you set up, is this the same thing, a global printing network?
Yeah. Yes, it's the same. I mean, it comes with it. Let's say if you print for this international global publishers, like, what we now know as Elsevier or Springer or whatever. So they make this beautiful medical journal or book. And then, of course, they don't know who's going to buy it or where the buyer is. So if they would put it in stock in the UK, maybe the buyer is in Singapore. So how do you get the book to Singapore then? So they came up with us to the idea of, okay, let's not produce large quantities and put them in a warehouse somewhere, but just produce the book where it's requested. So I indeed went along with them and have this distribute then print model, which was new back then. We talk about the 80s then, and set up, not the 80s, the 2008, and set up a production site in the US, in Asia, and in Europe at the same time. So depending where the end customer is, we print it, say, regionally, and send content directly to the consumer, rather than from a warehouse. So that's a type of business. And nowadays, about 85% of the titles those publishers publish are not in stock anymore. It's virtual stock. We hold that. We have millions of titles in virtual stock, and we print anywhere in the world where it's needed.
So if I was writing a book which might be of interest to people in Australia, but more people in America, and then perhaps also some people in mainland Europe, you could then, as it were, turn the tap on to a higher degree in America, because that's where they particularly want it, and less so in Australia because they had. Is that the idea then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And with that, of course, is also, you're reducing the footprint because you're not moving books around the earth. But you only print and produce those who are actually need closer to the end consumer.
Yeah. Now I can see how useful that is. Well, the company, I was chairman of a very small, a medium-sized, I suppose, publisher. And of course, one of the things that's helped us out immensely was the whole business of print on demand. Yeah,
but that's exactly it. That's exactly what we're doing, and then on a global scale.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yes, because it means you indeed. One or two books I've done recently, I've done with a firm that does almost all of their material on demand. But it sometimes makes that that then makes it difficult in the retail trade, because some companies won't actually stock books from publishers who don't keep a stock. Do you see what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, we are still part in the old days where there's limited reprint rights and to certain titles. And indeed, there's some retailers who don't want to take on any stock if it's not physical. But of course, that's not modern days. I mean, in modern days, I mean, of course, the reading globally has not increased because of competition of other media like TV, whatever. People read less basically, or at least not more. But the amount of titles has increased a lot. All specialty titles. So the print run or per title has dramatically come down. So that's also you need a new technology to get that to the market, which is digital print on demand, is the new technology.
Right.
So we have, for instance, we support global specialist magazines, which have 17 subscriptions worldwide, just 17. And you can still maintain that because the way we produce it. I mean, in the old days, you couldn't do that. You need at least 17,000 maybe in the past. So that is it's an enabling technology as well.
But you seem to me to be someone it's very impressive who always moves on. So I mean, you helped found Eurages, and then the whole global printing network you've been talking about. But now also, tell me about the Printforce Group then.
Yeah, well, Printforce Group is basically a spin-off. It's what we're doing now, which is in the past, we also had litho companies and bigger companies. We've all divested that. So Printforce is only digital. That's the Printforce Group. And so we're still doing the same, but mainly more specialized and also increased in the trade book market. So not only the academic market anymore. And we're not all over the world anymore. We have partners now, more in partnerships. And Printforce is basically now dominant in Europe and since last year, 2 years ago, also in the UK. So yeah, that's where I am.
And you're a managing partner in that. How many? Are there a large number of partners?
No, actually not. It's what's in the name. You know, you could give me any name you want, but I own the company partially, and I'm also managing it. So that's why we came up with that name.
I see. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And are you based then most of the time in Amsterdam or in London as well?
Yeah. Well, last year I was moving back and forth every week. So I was the 1 week in the UK, and the next week back in the Netherlands, and so on every week. So I traveled basically 52 times a year. You know. Now, I mean, in COVID, that's of course much more difficult. It's challenging for me, for the business, but luckily it's still allowed in the strict circumstances. So it's difficult, but it's still possible. But I travel a bit less now. That's clear.
So what do you have? Do you have an apartment in London and one in Amsterdam? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how it works basically. Yeah. Yeah.
Amsterdam's a great, one of my favorite cities, I think, in the world. It's a very attractive place and lots going on, isn't there?
Amsterdam is a lovely city. It's absolutely beautiful. It's of course tiny compared with London, but it's wonderful. Lots of things, cultural aspects as well. Beautiful views. I love London as well, so that's why I'm here. Yeah, it's both beautiful. I like city life.
Yeah, they are, but of course Amsterdam has rather like well, Venice, but not quite like Venice. But it has a uniqueness because of the canals, and of course your nearness to both. It always feels in Amsterdam if you're not very far from the country, and of course you're not very far from the IJsselmeer and so on.
That's all correct. I mean, the Netherlands is of course a small country, and apart from traffic jams, I mean, basically you drive within 2-3 hours, you have the whole country. So everything is close. Yeah, you're
absolutely.
right. Yeah.
And so now you, just to come on to stationers, because we haven't really touched on stationers yet. So when did you, are you a freeman or a liveryman or both?
Freeman, yes.
Well, we must get you to become a liveryman soon too.
Yes, yes. Well, the point was I was going to get a lot of things because I got my ceremony in January 2020, and we all know what happened afterwards. So
we do.
Yeah.
But we can still make people, we can still clothe people in the livery. Even now, we've been doing that during the. But tell me, what brought you to stations?
Well, you know, what I like about, I mean, I've traveled a lot. I mean, I've been in Singapore, America, whatever. But I now thought, okay, I'm going to come to the UK. So you want to know a bit more about the culture, about the backgrounds of the industry, expand on the network, want to do something, contribute maybe also something, you know. So I like to be a bit more part than just a visitor, be a bit part of it, basically. So that was the main reason.
And who did someone introduce you to stations then?
Yes, that's I could make a long story there, but I think he was before he was even Lord Mayor he introduced me. He was happy to introduce me, and a colleague of mine as well at the same time.
And who is that?
Yeah, I'm just at the moment. I'm sorry. I need to look, I'll look it up at the moment.
Oh, don't worry. Yes, but and then presumably you were you came and spent. You came to an event or two at stations, did you, before you joined?
Yes, exactly. I loved it. Well, actually, I lived around the corner, really. And on one Sunday, I think it was, I just passed by there and everything was open. It was an open day. So I came in and there was this bookbinding stuff going on. I was really amazed. That was my first trigger when I got to know it, just by coincidence.
Yeah, that's very encouraging to hear that. And I mean, we're delighted to have you as a member of the company. First of all, because you bring with you the graphic specialism and so on, which is just one of ours. But also, I think we're very pleased to see that there's an increasing internationalism in the company. I think I've interviewed two people in the USA recently, and I've interviewed someone in Geneva, and I'm trying to think. I've interviewed somebody in Vienna, so we're not doing too badly. And I could have been interviewing you in Amsterdam, but you happen to be in London.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. If we would have had this call tomorrow afternoon, I would be in Amsterdam. But by the way, of course, Sir Clive was happy to introduce me. I could have forgot his name. Clive Martin.
Oh, Sir Clive, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, oddly enough, he was one of the people who encouraged me to join.
Ah, all right, wonderful, yes. Lovely guy. Is it really?
Yeah, good, very good person. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
But yes, indeed. And it is digital world and move around, and you can talk everywhere. Indeed.
Well, we probably ought to draw this to a close. Otherwise, I shall be in the normal trouble that I am, which is to go on for too long. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope very much we can perhaps meet up once we are all allowed to meet up. And we can. There are lots of things I'd love to exchange with you about the Netherlands, because it's one of my favourite countries outside this country, not just for visiting, but because I've worked with so many people from Holland. So yeah, thank you very much, Rombout.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would really like, looking forward to that indeed. That's also the whole stages, of course, especially when it's international, to exchange a lot of thoughts, because if you exchange, you understand each other better, you get a better bond, and it's wonderful. So I look forward to that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.